Okay, the death toll is rising in Turkey and northern Syria a week after devastating earthquakes violently shook that region. Last week, we spoke with Edward Graham from Samaritan's Purse, who mobilized, as they always do, to get their team on the ground in Turkey to help. They now have more than 100 disaster assistance response team specialists in the region, helping to establish hospitals and responding to those in need. And joining me now to give us an update on the situation and their efforts is Edward Graham. He's the Chief Operating Officer for Samaritan's Purse. Edward, thanks for coming back on the program. What can you tell us about what's happening in Turkey right now?
Hey, Tony, thanks again for having me. Well, I'll tell you what, I woke up this morning, I had a report from my team on the ground that they already had the hospital operational and it received its first patients. Within hours, you had about 42 patients have already come in. Now, this is a mix of patients that were injured in the actual earthquake itself, which, as we know, has just been completely devastating to this region. But we've also seen several rescuers that have been injured by rubble. So as they're going in there, rubble's falling on them, breaking legs and arms. And so we're already treating them and doing operations on individuals like that. We also had a report of a young 14-year-old boy who'd been in there since the earthquake, so it's about 8 days, that he'd been trapped in there. Is extremely dehydrated, hadn't had any water, food. Everyone in his family was killed, and he was the only survivor. And so it's patients like this that we're treating. But I want your listeners to pray for that boy. Pray for Turkey. Just the pain, the suffering that's going on right now. This is why we deploy, is to love on our neighbor and to share the love of Jesus Christ through medicine. But God gives us these resources to be able to respond quickly, and that's why Samaritan's Purse is already there with its hospital. We're also assessing the other humanitarian needs. We took about 90 tons of equipment, so we're also looking at there's solar lights. We can do water filtration. There's shelter material, blankets. So there's a lot of things. It's cold there right now, and there's a loss of power, and so there's a lot to do, and the team's doing a great job. But continue to pray for them.
I mean, the need is massive when you consider over 30,000 people have already been identified as dying in these two earthquakes. The needs are going to, just when you see the extensive nature of the damage, this is going to be long term. What do you know about the other relief efforts there on the ground? I mean, Samaritan's Purse, obviously we support them because of the fact that they not only meet the physical need, but there to minister in the name of Jesus. Is enough support getting into that region?
No, and it's not, and I wouldn't say it's Turkey's fault and the government's fault. It's overwhelming. A tragedy like this, there's so much destruction. A lot of the road systems, the airports, there's some airports in the area that were destroyed as well. So when stuff gets in, it gets logged at these airfields in these ports, and it's all trying to get in, but the roads are clogged and people are trying to get out. Other materials are trying to get in. I think Turkey, the government's done an incredible job on what it's can to love and serve its people. But there's a lot more that needs to be done. And at this, just like the story I gave the little boy of survival, you're at this point, anyone that comes out of the rubble now to be a miracle because they've been in there for so long.
Yeah.
So the rescue, they're kind of right now in frantic pace. They have been for a week. But even after this earthquake, as you know, with many tragedies, just like in Haiti, susceptible to cholera and other diseases that come in, when there's loss of services, power, and clean water. And so that's why we go there to see where we're going to be. There's other Christian ministries there. There's other relief organizations that do come into these areas. It just gets to be an issue with logistics and trying to get everything to where it's needed.
Ed, we're up against a break, but we're going to challenge our folks to continue to pray. But how else can they help in the work that Samaritan's Purse is doing?
And just go to SamaritansPurse.org. If you have any questions on how you can help, it should be there.
All right, Ed, we're going to get an update later on from you. We will be praying for you and your teams that are there, and grateful for the wonderful work that you guys do.
Appreciate it. Thank you.